So a lot of people ask, why'd you run for sheriff? And it's a great question because, you know, as an elected position, you have to come up with a good elevator speech on yourself. You have to know yourself. And for me, it was an internal question, why do I want to do this job? It's not for the money. It's not because it's a Monday through Friday gig, 8 to 4. It's not because you're going to get famous, hopefully, right? Yeah. It's because you inherently have to be a public servant at heart. And for me, where I live in Franklin County, being born and raised there, I found it was my best option and outlet to serve the community that I love. As a part of a community, different organizations and community outreach programs, I found that when I got into public service, when I got into law enforcement, I knew I wanted to serve. I didn't know in what capacity. I landed at the sheriff's office, and that's where I got my opportunities. An internship led to being a deputy turned into a supervisor turned into running for office and losing, learning, and then coming back, being promoted to chief deputy, and then being able to successfully run for sheriff. But I've never lost the reason why in my mind, and it's because people elect us to be their voice in the topic of law enforcement. And that's why I ran for sheriff. Before that, I was in community service, mental health field, and look at today's world, look at today's environment. That's what we deal with now.
Hand in hand.
Drugs and mental health. And so for me, what brought me to where I'm at, I think prepared me to help deal with my community's problems in the realm and within the duties that I'm expected to deliver to the community. And I look at myself as a community partner, a community mouthpiece, and somebody that can be trusted in Franklin County to call if they need something.
I don't share this with a lot of people, but there was a point in time where I was going to a Bible study with my wife and some friends. And one of the focuses of that particular Bible study was the parable of the talents. And the sheriff's office in my county seemed to be floundering a little bit. And I knew that I had the skill set to bring that department to where it needed to be. And I couldn't get it out of my mind that this is what I was supposed to do.
It's a calling.
It was a calling,
Yeah.
without question. And I know it was the right decision. My prayer during that time was, this isn't about winning or losing. This is about me following through on what I know I'm supposed to do. And obviously succeeded in that and succeeded 2 other times. But it's got to be a calling, and it's got to be, as you said, Ben, for the purpose of serving your community and making things better for other people.
Just to that, Tony's point, a calling. Wow, like that's a great word. For me, my experience, I had 22 years in law enforcement, municipal. When you mentioned calling, the position came up. It was open. For me, it just fell into place. And one of the things that I did is just prayed to God that, hey, just asking, is this the right decision for me? Should I be doing this? And I said, just give me a sign. I looked up in the sky. One night I was on patrol, municipal, and I just happened to look up and said, give me a sign. And I saw this shooting star.
Wow.
And it literally gave me chills. I felt like the hair on the back of my neck stood up. And I knew right then and there that this was for me. And for me, the biggest thing is community outreach. That's my heart is into that. And I had 22 years, and I felt like at 22 years in a borough in Pennsylvania, I was getting that stuck point, and I had so much more to offer, especially when you're talking community programs that I could give to the whole entire county. And I knew I had that ability, so for me it was a no-brainer. My heart was in it. I was ready to run, and luckily for me, I got elected. And currently right now, I'm actually running for my 3rd term. Yeah. So I hope to be able to continue to serve Tioga County.
Funny that you all touched on the calling. My calling went back to, in the same deal, I feel I was answering a calling. And you have to. In this profession, and I've said that many times speaking to people, this is a calling. Because of the points you made, you're not going to get rich, you're not going to get famous. What benefits do you have out of it? What really, when you start and look at the grand scheme of the risk of things, why would you really want to do that? Yeah. Because you're answering a calling. My calling was at a crusade down in Carlisle that a bunch from our church drove down to And at the end of it, the evangelist worked his way through the crowd and was giving prophecy over folks, delivering a message from God out to people, and come back and place his hand on my shoulder. Still remember it. Placed his hand on my left shoulder, and he said, "You're going to be a leader of men." Okay, well, as a teenager, you want to, right. I don't know what you mean by that. And I drove home and we laughed about it. We made jokes about it. And it took me till some years later, doing 100 different things. My dad was always the jack of all trades. And so I also, as my dad, became the jack of all trades. And then all of a sudden it hit, like, I want to do law enforcement. I love law enforcement. And not knowing that was still really my calling, but answered it. And then got in through municipal, 22 years throughout my time period of patrolman to a lieutenant to then chief of police, and then was successful chief of police for 20 years with a small borough. My heart was in the community. We did enough for the community, and it came down to how much more can I do, what can I do broader? Well, broader is at the sheriff's office, and you see places that struggle, you see things that need to continue to build and to build us into the professionalism that we all know that we have now, that maybe in a day it struggled to get there. Our standards have changed. Different things have changed in our offices for law enforcement that more recognizes our offices, and I thought, I want to be part of that.
Yeah.
And I want to bring that to our community and love helping people, love doing stuff for people.
I think it's a good time to bring up, why would I want to be a deputy sheriff? And we talk about what's the difference between us and my borough police department. If the big difference is a primary response jurisdiction. I'm not the primary law enforcement agency. There could be 7 jurisdictions that cover an area, but there's always got to be a primary, right? They're the ones that have to respond to the 911 calls. Me as a sheriff, I'm glad I don't have that responsibility to have staff 24/7 to answer every single 911 call. But in my county, our county will dispatch us to a heart attack based on AVL, which is vehicle location. In my county, we do flying extraditions. We did 27 flying extraditions last year. My staff get to have the unique experience of boarding a commercial airliner with an inmate and fly to Miami, Hawaii, Puerto Rico. Those are unique experiences that municipal cops aren't going to get. They're going to handle that beat, that 911 call, that primary response jurisdiction. They're there for the big emergency, but all of the little things as well. We're all on the same team. In Franklin County, we have critical infrastructures for the federal government. We're very close to Washington, D.C. We deal with a lot of federal agencies with, alphabets I didn't even realize, right? But the point is, everything's the same in that we all have a role. We all have a scope. And if we push in and we support, because we support all the local agencies, just like they support us. It's not one's better than the other.
Correct.
It's that how can we help each other? That's what I like to focus on.
Yes.
And when I was coming through being a sheriff's deputy, I like sitting in the courtroom. You learn to be a good at testimony, what you should say, what you shouldn't say, how you should say it. I think it honed my skills to then run for office. So as I sat there and I enjoyed watching the criminal justice process pan out, that helped me be a better sheriff. Because you're going to get the call as a trusted member of your county. I'm going through a divorce. What's next? I had a deputy knock on my door. What did they want? I fell behind on the bills because times are tough. I'm losing my house. What's next? And we keep the peace in more ways than one.
Sure.
You're a trusted voice to help people understand the problems that they're facing. And though they may call and say, there's somebody just stole a couch from my house and I was on vacation. Here's the agency you're going to deal with. I'll make sure I connect you with that primary police department.
Correct.
And if there's anything I can do to help that agency, I will. Yep. That's where I think we are unique in many ways across all the different counties. And there are counties that have primary response jurisdictions for the sheriff's office.
Yeah. Law enforcement across the board in the nation is low, is short.
Yes, it is.
People are losing the interest to answer the call.
Right.
I'm appreciative to anybody that wants to answer that call and is qualified to do it. So not everybody's qualified for this job. Everybody may want to do it, but what goes into it to become a deputy sheriff, or anybody in law enforcement for that matter, but in our case, a deputy sheriff, knowing the knowledge and the ability that you're going to face an academy, so your physical abilities, and then understanding for your knowledge and the curriculum that you're going to face and have to do. That's to get you the basics, to learn to come into this job. The selling point that I would tell any deputy considering to come into it is the versatility that we have. And we have such a wide variety of options and challenges, and every day your assignment, your task can change, whether you're the sheriff or whether you're the first guy in the door as the first deputy. And we all jump into it, and our roles change daily and can change by the hour, depending on what happens. And that's the uniqueness to us, I think, over other areas in law enforcement, is that we have that versatility, and what we have is a whole county entity to do it.